Digital Storytelling in the Classroom by Michelle, Emma, and Erica. Using digital images to engage young learners. Students are starting to use digital microscopes, digital cameras, and slideshows to develop new skills. They can create slideshows to use for class projects, use a microscope to look more closely at objects, and use a digital camera to record their work. Using digital cameras is a way to engage students in the learning process because their curiosity levels rise. It gives them more motivation to learn because it's fun. Using digital cameras also gives them the opportunity to reflect on their work. Encouraging curiosity. Students are very curious about the world they live in, and using digital cameras and microscopes gives them the chance to look more closely at the world. They are able to see the world from different views. Digital cameras and microscopes allow the students to look closer at their curiosity. Photographs also allow students to see those different perspectives of objects. For example, if students were to take pictures of something from all different angles, they would start to wonder about how each angle looks different and would gain more understanding. Supporting language and literacy. Digital images support language development. Students can record their voices onto audio, videotape themselves, type what they have to say, and have the computer read it out loud for them. Students are more likely to learn from their own creations, and they are able to reinforce their learning. Here is an example of how you can use digital images for language development. Create a class book and have each child make a page with an illustration and a sentence or short paragraph to go with it. Instead of using paper and pencil, use an electronic slideshow. Students really enjoy this because it's something they created. All students have different needs, and with using technology to create the book, it allows all students to participate. Some wouldn't be able to participate without the technology, and with using the technology, it shows a successful class of students. Any language project that has words followed by a picture gives the students the opportunity to create their own meaning. It makes them think about what they just read and saw and how they want to interpret it. You want to try and stay away from clip art when your students are creating language projects. Having them create their own images shows the audience their creativity. Once your students have created something, have them go back and revisit their work. The repetition of fixing their work allows them to move the information from their short-term memory to their long-term memory. Using a digital microscope is a good way for students to see the differences between the actual object and its magnified image. Give the students specific terms to go by when describing what they see. It will build their vocabulary and is important for the students who speak a different language at home. Providing feedback and documenting learning. Photos give the students a different way of showing their work, and it motivates them to complete it. They look forward to being able to use digital cameras. The photos can be viewed immediately, giving the students and teachers a way to save the moment. It's an effective way to document learning. Students can also create portfolios with their work that they created digitally. They can see and hear how their skills have grown. You can also print digital photos and send them home that same day. Or you can email them to the parents, allowing immediate documentation of their experiences. In art, digital cameras can be used because a teacher can digitize the student's artwork in a document or in a portfolio. That way, the original work can go home and the teacher can still have the student's work on record. Technology should not replace the role of the teacher. The use of technology should never take place of the interaction between teachers and students. Digital images are used for active learning. Hands-on activities are really effective for English language learners and all students. If the use of digital images is used correctly, it can play a useful part of the children's early development. New opportunities can open up when digital images are used. Children can see the world from different perspectives. The second article we read is called Digital Storytelling Finds Its Way in the Classroom. In the article, they talk about a new project that was implemented into middle schools as a new form of telling stories. The project is called the Place Project. It was created to help students believe that they are all writers. Before the project was started, the students were asked, "Are you a writer?" and 60% responded yes. After the project, the students were asked the same question and 99% responded yes. The Place Project is extremely motivating and it helps them tell real stories about a place that is important to them. The first step in beginning the project is to prepare. The students must commit to a topic, and then students should orally answer questions from an outline with a partner so they could practice introducing their place by telling where it is, what it looks like, and why it's important to them. The body of the story should be able to answer several specific questions. For example, what is the earliest memory of your place? What are your feelings when you go there? The students will then represent their place visually before they begin writing. Ask the students to pick one image that best represents their place. Also require the students to include a hook in their introduction. Have the students ask each other, "What's your place?" They can represent their place by drawing a picture, painting a picture, or creating a collage, or even using tidbits. This allows them to find more details about their place. One of the biggest parts of the Place Project is being able to trust your peers. No student is going to want to share something that is important to them if they cannot trust those around them. A great technique to teach your students how to trust each other is using Doug Lipman's approach of having the students read aloud and receive appreciations and suggestions from the class. It helps the students see themselves as authors with a purpose and an audience for writing that was greater than the classroom. Once the students can trust their peers, they now need to take a risk. Sharing stories involves risk for many children. Teachers also need to take those same risks. It's important for the teachers to create a model so the students know what is expected of them. Go over the teacher's story out loud with the class so they can feel more comfortable. Now the teacher needs to know how she can manage the technology and the learning. The teacher must give up some of her control. The teachers need to try to not give time limits or due dates on the digital projects. The students will be able to figure out a lot on their own. Students will feel more like authors, producers, when deciding what music to use or how to transition from one image to the next. Part of what makes storytelling with technology so rewarding for students is because they are in the director's chair. They get to make all of the decisions on their own. The last part to the Place Project is adding sound. The sound dimension seems to be the most meaningful part of the project. In the Place Project, it is a great opportunity for every student's voice to be heard. The voice recording is the most important but takes up the most time. Only have one student record at a time.
Now we're going to talk about how those ideas can be used in the classroom based on a research study which explored the potential of the Digital Language Experience Approach. The Digital Language Experience Approach, otherwise known as the DLEA, is based on an idea that if students are capable of telling their own stories and someone else can write those stories for them, they will be able to read their own work. Jan Turbill, a teacher from Australia, attended a conference where Kent State's Gretchen Espinetti talked about a DLEA project she had done with preschoolers. In Gretchen's project, the preschoolers were given digital cameras that they could use to take their own pictures. The teacher uploaded them onto a computer, then the students provided their own labels or captions for each picture which she scribed. Jan was able to use this idea for a research project when she returned to Australia. She made a few changes to her project. first, the project was going to be completed by 2 first graders. Since most teachers had access to PowerPoint, she decided to use that as her software of choice. Furthermore, since these were first grade students, they would be encouraged to write their own labels or captions to correspond with their series of pictures. Through her research, Jan was able to find that the digital language experience approach includes all the best parts of the language experience approach. It gives English language learners the chance to explore creative writing and also improve their own writing and reading abilities. This approach also has the added advantage of incorporating technology in the classroom by teaching children to use digital literacies. We hope you enjoyed our presentation on digital storytelling in the classroom.